Let me just start off by saying this is basically a Flash Games video, but we're just rolling with a new title now, okay? Okay. SpongeBob Squarepants is one of the biggest and most successful cartoon series to ever exist. Speaking from experience, you'd be hard-pressed to make a SpongeBob reference in public and not have someone laugh or nod in approval or even join in. Considering its size and the demographic the series is targeted at, it's no surprise to me that the internet would be littered with free online Flash games based on SpongeBob. I myself remember many an afternoon in my school's library on the computer playing some terrible Flash game instead of doing my schoolwork. And now, playing these games is work, so I guess I sealed my own fate. So without further ado, let's take a look at what online SpongeBob garbage I managed to find. But first, a little further ado to talk about this video's sponsor, Skillshare. I think all of us can learn some new stuff, right? I know I can, and there's no better way to learn a new skill online than with Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes from graphic design, animation, music, and even marketing or productivity. Being a video producer myself, I'm always looking for ways to improve, and I'm really interested in the video editing courses, because Skillshare isn't just a way to learn a new skill, but also a way to hone existing ones. If you want to start checking out some courses today, you can click the link in the description to sign up and get 2 months of Skillshare for free, and if you decide you like the service, an annual subscription is less than $10 a month, which is drastically more affordable than any kind of in-person classes or workshops. So if you've ever wanted to learn how to do that thing you were always interested in doing but never did, or just want to get better at the things you already do, give Skillshare a try and learn a thing or two. And now for the SpongeBob garbage you guys are eagerly waiting to see. So this first one is called Spongeboarding. The object and controls are simple. Use the left and right arrow keys to make SpongeBob turn as you make your way through the course while collecting jellyfish and avoiding hitting Gary. My initial thought was that it's akin to an arcade game that keeps going and going, but I was never able to actually survive long enough for the counter to make it to 0. If you happen to collide with a wall, you can pretty much say goodbye to whatever little influence you had on movement. The further you progress, the harder it gets, but eventually it just starts throwing out Garys that are way too hard, probably impossible to actually avoid because of how stiff the turning is. I also find it pretty amusing that the health bar doesn't actually decrease, it just kind of looks like they threw it in MS Paint and dragged one side of it. I don't know what happens when the timer actually runs out, but I think I have enough experience with these types of games to assume it doesn't do anything more than end the game and display your score just like it does when you run out of health. SpongeBob's Christmas Delivery. SpongeBob's Christmas Delivery. SpongeBob. It's Christmas Eve and the reindeer are poorly. Poorly what? Help SpongeBob, Sandy, Squidward, and no Oxford comma to deliver the presents by Christmas morning. It's a dirt bike game again. It's inevitable. I can't make a video on this kind of subject without running into these. They follow me everywhere. The only difference with this one is that instead of the bumps in the road flipping your vehicle over and making you explode, this time you have a sleigh in tow that's full of presents, and if the ride is too bumpy, they fall out. You need to have a certain amount left by the end of the stage to progress. Also, this game kinda lies in more ways than one. So in the beginning, it lists all the SpongeBob characters that need your help, but when you start the game, you can only play as Sandy and need to unlock the others by reaching whatever stage is listed under them in the character selection screen. I feel like I was a bit misled, but that's fine, I guess. I only have to get through 4 stages to unlock all of them, right?
Wrong!
Despite the game saying both Squidward and SpongeBob unlock after level 4, the game then changes its mind and decides to not only not give you your reward, but tells you you need to then go to the game dev's website to unlock SpongeBob. I think I'm good. So the title screen of this one is calling this game SpongeBob Shave Time, but the website is listing it as, and I quote, SpongeBob with a lot of beard. The internet was a mistake. In this game, I guess SpongeBob must be quitting the Krusty Krab or something because he has to get ready for an interview, which consists of shaving his gigantic unkempt Davy Jones beard, as well as doing his hair and dressing him, which he for some reason needs to ask us to do while publicly declothed. So you have to work on the beard by using each shaving tool in order. First, you use the shears to cut off the bulk, the electric shaver to take off some of the heavier face hair, and then the clippers to bring him down to a nice stubble. After that, we use the shaving cream before switching to a straight-up single-blade grandpa razor. But, what you're about to see is, I don't know how to explain it other than disgusting. Just please, if you're eating something right now, please refrain for the next few moments. So you use the shaving razor to reveal a couple cuts, which I'm assuming are supposed to be from shaving, but one of them has what looks to be a worm coming out of it. I'm gonna vomit. What is that? Why did they do that? What is that supposed to mean? The game even has you spray him with this worm killer, and then we patch him up with some band-aids. Good as new. I think I've just about had it with this game, so we're gonna throw some clothes on him and call it a day. Best part is, once he's all ready for his interview, nothing actually happens. The game just gives you an option to replay it. I think I'll pass. Here's a platformer called Track the Shovel. In the middle of the night, Plankton breaks into the Krusty Krab and steals SpongeBob's shovel. His shovel. Now a cracked out SpongeBob with roid rage is on a quest to get it back. Despite this game being super janky and badly made, there's just the slightest bit of charm thrown in, and I think it has something to do with the actual mechanics. Don't get me wrong, almost every single aspect of this game is utter garbage, but the core mechanic of the game itself is pretty neat. So for the most part, it's a straight up platformer where you just need to reach the end of the stage with the occasional puzzle thrown in. Only here, there's an added platforming mechanic where you need to create platforms with the cursor by clicking the mouse. I think this really adds to the depth of the platforming experience. It may sound like I'm stretching to give this game any kind of praise, and that's because I am, but I feel like I should at least say something positive in this video. After all, I actually played this game longer than I thought I would. I can't say I'm having what I'd describe as fun, but something inside me definitely kept pushing me to keep going. Despite that though, the stages aren't numbered and I didn't see any kind of end in sight. Eventually I got to a point where I couldn't figure out how I was supposed to beat the stage. Luckily, this game has unlimited lives, but I really just couldn't justify continuing. So this one's actually pretty legitimately fun for a few minutes. Wanna know why? Because it's Qbert. It's literally Qbert. I'm sure plenty of you are probably aware of how Qbert works, but for everyone who doesn't, basically it's an isometric game where the goal is to change the colors of all the platforms to a certain color by landing on each one. At first, it only takes one hop to change them to the correct color, but as the game progresses, you'll have to step on each platform multiple times. The game's enemies are jellyfish that kind of operate the same way that ghosts do in Pac-Man. Just do what you gotta do and try as hard as you can to stay out of their way. Along with the jellyfish are anemones that go back and reverse the progress you make by reverting platforms to the color they were before you jumped on them, so you have to take them out as quickly as you can before they do damage. There's also seahorses that chase you and have to be tricked into falling off the stage by using the warp pads located on the sides of the stage. Also, if you shatter Gary's back, he'll freeze time for you. I didn't get very far because I suck at this game, but I had an okay time with it, but that's only because I kinda like Qbert, and this is just Qbert. Here is what's probably the best looking one of the bunch. It's a basic side-scrolling platformer and it's called Dutchman's Dash. I wasn't able to find out what the premise was until I got the game over screen, but I guess Gary was kidnapped by the Flying Dutchman and now it's up to SpongeBob and Patrick to rescue him. The controls aren't the worst I've ever seen, but the game for whatever reason puts this weird forward momentum on you every time you try to jump, so you kind of have to preemptively tap the opposite direction if you want to make precise jumps. It's got this mechanic where you play as both SpongeBob and Patrick but alternate between the two during each life. You start off as SpongeBob, but if you die, you switch to Patrick, and if you die again, you lose a life. They both control slightly differently, but still similarly. It kind of reminds me of something like Donkey Kong Country. The game's assets are all pretty colorful and actually look pretty good, and that's about all the good I have to say about this. Your top speed is reached pretty much immediately after holding right, so most of the game ends up feeling like an auto runner as opposed to something more slow and calculated. You end up just holding right and timing your jumps correctly, kind of like speeding through World 1-1 of Super Mario Bros. Hopping on clams can sometimes yield something I assumed was just an extra hit point, but I didn't find out till I was done playing that it's actually a power-up. Getting one of these power-ups and then tapping the spacebar lets you use whatever ability you currently have. Unfortunately, I forgot to read the directions and ended up playing this game on hard mode, I guess. Collecting these little bubble buddies serves as the game's coins, and collecting 100 grants an extra life. This isn't the worst thing I've played, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited to get a game over. This one's called SpongeBob Rescue Patrick, which is way too vague of a name considering what it is. It's a really, really badly made Mario game with SpongeBob saving Patrick from the clutches of Bowser. They basically just took a bunch of Mario assets, made a terrible Mario Flash game, and then were like, wait, SpongeBob instead. So the game has 8 stages, and the goal is to go through the stage collecting coins, and once you collect all the coins, a star will spawn, and then collecting it clears the level. Problem is, its means of progression is akin to Mario 64, but the levels are linear like a 2D Mario game. So sometimes needing to backtrack ends up being too much of a hassle, and it's a better idea to just SD. I'm gonna tell you right now, I only got like 2 stages in, and this controls like an absolute nightmare. There's no physics to speak of, and the hitboxes make no sense. I was constantly breaking bricks I wasn't trying to break, or somehow missing platforms or springs that I was clearly supposed to land on. Like, this game feels like it was made in Scratch. Also, if SpongeBob crouches, his sprite just straight up turns into Mario. What is this? Eventually, I got to a stage that was giving me some trouble, but after a little bit, I collected all the coins and spawned the star. Problem is, the star was back where I came from, and there were a few platforms in front of me, so despite needing to backtrack to finish the stage, I couldn't help my curiosity and pressed on to see if if the stage had any secrets lurking over there. Well, due to the wonderfully programmed collision, I just kind of phased through the platform and fell into the abyss. I guess they didn't plan on anyone doing that because whatever I fell into didn't have the same property as a pit, so I just soft-locked the game. I don't think I have it in me to play any more of these today, so I think this is where our journey ends. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm gonna go play a nice game of literally anything that isn't this. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it and want to see more, there's a couple other videos right there you can check out. And if you want to keep up with everything I release, subscribe and then tap the bell icon. I also have a Patreon right there if you want to help support the channel.